My name's Terry Levitt. The subject that I'm working on today is abstract algebra, and the lesson, use a good guess, the factor theorem, and the division algorithm to completely factor a polynomial. So we're going to be using 3 steps to do this. Guess and check. Step 2 is divide, and step 3, factor further. So for step 1, we have to do first we should talk about the problem. The problem is f of x equals x to the third, subtract 9x squared plus 8x plus 60. And we want to factor this as much as we possibly can to its lowest terms. So our first step is to guess and check, which is exactly how it sounds. We're going to plug in random numbers like I did for this one right here. And we just plug them into where the x's are. So we have 1 to the third power, subtract 9 times 1 to the second power, subtract 8 times 1 plus 60. So we get 1 subtract 9 plus 8 plus 60, which equals 60. This is not 0. What we're trying to do is we're trying to find something, a number that we can plug into this x value, and we'll get an 0 whenever we plug it in. So I plugged in a number 2 here, and if you look at all the x's, it's a -2, and we end up with 0. So what this means is that this is one of the factors of our equation. So this brings us to step 2. So now we're going to do step 2, which is dividing. And dividing polynomial functions is a little different. So we're going to start out, we're just going to write out the problem first. Easiest part. Okay, so now that we have this, what we're going to do is we're going to look at our first little x to the third power. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to find something that multiplies times this x to give us x to the third. So basically we have an x, and then in order to get to the third power you have to have to the second power. So x to the second power times x is x to the third. Then you're going to carry out, keep going. So x, we're going to have a plus sign because there's going to be a plus. So then x squared times 2 is 2x squared. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to change these signs. So this becomes a negative, and so does this, which ends up giving us a negative 11x squared. Then we're going to bring down the rest of this up here. All right, then we're going to do the same thing right here. We want to find something that will multiply to this x right here to give us negative 11x squared, just the first term. So if you notice, that would be negative 11x, because x times x is x squared, and then you'll have an 11, so it's negative 11x squared. Then we're going to do this negative 11x times 2, which gives us a negative 22x. Okay, we're going to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to change the signs, which gives us a plus and a plus. This is going to go away, and we're going to end up with a 30x plus 60 because we're bringing down the 60 right there. Okay, last step. We have this 30x right there, and we want to find something that multiplies to this x to give us 30x. Well, as you probably have figured out already, it's 30. So 30 times x is 30x. Then 30 times 2 is 60. And then we go through and we change the signs There's imaginary positive there. All right. And we notice that we end up with 0, which is exactly what we wanted to end up with. This means that 11 squared subtract 11x plus 30 is one of our factors of this right here. We also know that x plus 2 is a factor. All right, so by now we have the step 3 that we're on. Factor what's left. So in our last step, we found out that this, our original equation, factors to x plus 2 and x squared subtract 11x plus 30. Now, we know that x squared subtract 11x plus 30 can be factored further down. We want to get it to its lowest point that it'll be factored. So there are a few different ways we could do this. We could do grouping, we could do the quadratic equation, or we could divide again. Now, I can look at this and I can easily see two numbers so that I could use grouping. The quadratic equation it's going to be a little bit more complicated, and dividing is just a little bit more work right now than what we need to do. So, in our very last step here, we're going to use grouping. You're going to have x squared subtract 11x plus 30. So I put this into the form ax squared plus bx plus c, just so I can more easily explain it to you. So you want to find something that's going to multiply to c and something that's going to add to b. So for example, 5 times 6 equals 30, and 5 plus 6 equals 11, which is right there. So that's exactly what we needed. So then we find that x subtract 6 and x subtract 5 are both factors. So in the end, our end result is that our equation that we had, 5x equals x to the 4th, subtract 3x to the 3rd, subtract 10, can be factored into x plus 2, x subtract 6, and x subtract 5. And it's simple as that, guys. Thank you for watching.